is this what it feels like to be like a Fast and Furious fan of sorts? Maybe not Fast and Furious, but just this genre of film. Like I don't know. Here's the crazy part is I knew what I was signing up for. I wasn't looking forward to it, and yet somehow I didn't hate it.
That's the apex predator.
It's coming!
And today we have Meg 2, The Trench. Full disclosure before we get into this, there are going to be sections of this review, if not most of the review, so I was a dummy, and due to having my battery on the camera not being at optimal levels prior to recording, I did lose a significant amount of footage from the review. So there might be sections where it's my audio overlaid with some, like, I don't know, some screenshots from the movie or some video or something. I feel a bit too lazy to re-record the whole thing, but that would explain any lapses in the review going into this, whatnot. Here's the funniest part about all of this. I didn't have any plans to see this movie. The even funnier part is I've seen the first one. A movie of this caliber being PG-13, if I'm going to see a movie like this, I kind of want it to be like Piranha. I want to see these people get ripped apart or eaten, or credit where credit's due, these films are still fairly dark and gruesome without having to have blood and guts going absolutely everywhere. And because they're PG-13, I get the marketing perspective and the angle of bringing more in to see the film, so I'm not too upsetty spaghetti. I did go see this on National Cinema Day. Most theaters had the promotion where it was $4 for any movie, any format, $4 a pop, plus combos that were $4 a pop. So for less than $10, you could go out and see any movie you wanted to do. Funniest part being is that this is just a Sunday matinee, but because of it being National Cinema Day, just about every showing of every movie today was like, all these auditoriums were so full. Like I rarely see auditoriums this full unless it's, I don't know, opening night for IMAX for Oppenheimer or something. So of all the films to see with a packed house, I mean, this is definitely a film. Here's the funny part to me, and it makes me, I don't know how I feel about this, but I knew I recognized the name of the director, which we're going to recap real quick, and I didn't realize who it was until I got home and did my research more properly. Director of this is a Ben Wheatley. Mr. Wheatley here. I was just thinking, why do I know that name? I tell you why, because sure, the last film that he did was this film I had never heard of called In the Earth. It came out within the last few years or something, but what else did he do? Whenever I can, I try to give this film credit, and it's not for everybody, but I love it. It was slept on because it came out the exact same weekend as Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Such a sleeper hit in my opinion, but Free Fire. I love this movie. Free Fire is so good, I love it. It has a cast of so many people that you would probably know, and he directed it. I shit you not, the whole film is after a little bit of build up for 20 minutes, and then it's an hour and a half long shootout in a warehouse, and it is so good and fun and violent and just like 70s and just people hurling insults and bullets at each other. I love it. I always recommend it. But yeah, same guy directed that, and now here he is. I mean, I'm glad he's still making films. I'm glad he's getting big blockbuster Hollywood films at that. I mean, I think he's a really good director, but it's just a shame that it has to be, I don't know, something like this. But I guess, I mean, what's the shame in making a fun film, right? Not a whole lot of cast to go over in this one. I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of cast members, but unlike the first one that had a lot more known quantities, a lot more well-known names in the first one, this one, significantly fewer well-known people, but you still have the figurehead of this, and he's just like the figurehead of the genre in general. But Jason Statham, like you gotta know, if you don't know the name, you gotta know the face. He's like a British Bruce Willis, I guess, I don't know. Heavily, severely typecast, and one could argue that he plays this role wonderful. Like, he plays the role well. He's that kind of just grizzled British action hero and all this, you know, he's just got the quips, he's a smart ass, he's rough and tough, you know, quick on light in his feet. I do want to give a little shout out to one of the other main characters, played by, I believe it's Wu Jin, but I don't know what it was. This guy was fun. He kind of gave me like discount Ki Hui Kwan vibes, But this Wu Jing guy, he was very animated. He was funny, entertaining to watch. I like this character for some reason a lot, especially with in tandem with Jason Statham's character. The pros. This is one of those films where it kind of benefits to have a low bar going into it. Turn off your brain for surprisingly 2 hours. This is just shy of 2 hours, but laugh at the ridiculous stuff and just enjoy the wild, unrealistic, fun, oddly enough, sci-fi creature feature ride. I mean, yeah, you're just gonna watch these humans try to survive against, instead of one megalodon, several megalodons and other prehistoric creatures and other humans fighting them, and that's it. That's the movie. It was entertaining. It was, out of the bad films that I've seen this month, are the ones that aren't really, I shouldn't say maybe bad, but the films that are either bad or not great. I mean, it was definitely one of the more entertaining ones, and I feel like the film is self-aware enough, at least, to be able to just know what it is, embrace that. We're not going to really be applying the laws of physics and pure science here, but again, sci-fi creature feature with quips and inhuman action and stunts and moments, and all the actors play their roles well. There's just going to be some main characters that just do their thing, some villains that do their thing. I don't really have a whole lot to say. It was not great, but it was, I don't know, it was fun. It was just dumb. I mean, just literally, it's just dumb fun. That's all it is, all there is to it. It never made me upset, oddly enough. I think it's because, I don't know, you look at a film like Fast and Furious, after those first 2 or 3, I refuse to buy in, watch any of those. A lot of those big Hollywood blockbuster action films, like Ambulance or whatever that I covered, they project this marketing of super seriousness, and the films take themselves so seriously. It's like, oh, this film knows what it is. It's like, yeah, none of this is all bull. It's all just, we're fighting big prehistoric sharks basically, and we're gonna make some quips and have some really crazy, unrealistic action sequences, and we're gonna take it lightly, poke fun at ourselves and each other and the movie, and just make the audience entertained and make the audience laugh, is basically by the end of the day. And I think it's because a film like this, that's not meant to be taken super seriously, doesn't take itself seriously, it works a lot better than other big blockbuster action films that I normally will poo-poo on. I guess where the film suffers, I mean, is the very things that I enjoyed from the film also kind of work to its detriment. I think the reviews kind of nailed this aspect down, or like what I did read about it, what little reviews I read, but it's also, I can definitely agree with, I noticed it as well in the film, is that this film's pacing is really weird. Like when the action picks up, sure, the action scenes are intense, but they're also, I don't want to say poorly directed, but I think because of the rating. Like, I've seen Ben Wheatley, I've seen this director do intense R-rated action where you see what happens and it's clear and violent and gritty or visceral, but I think because they're trying to maintain the rating, you can't have the brutality of it be too clear or apparent on screen. So when the action does pick up, there's certain sequences that it's very quick cuts or moving around and zooming, and you lose track of who's doing what and what not and where. And then when violent things do happen, it's either somebody gets swallowed up real quick, or somebody gets, maybe shot or taken out or just off screen entirely. And then when things that are supposed to be violent do happen, like somebody getting knocked upside the head with a blunt object, there's no severe bruising or even really like a whole lot in the way of blood or like blunt force trauma. Or even if somebody, like one person's head implodes in a diving suit at one point and it's just like bubbles, and then you see like a side profile view of like the helmet that's kind of been like concave, compressed, but I don't know. You can tell they're trying to keep that PG-13 rating. It shows through a little bit. Jason Statham fighting the Megs, and he's on a jet ski and flying around sharks and trying to blow them up or this, that, and the other. That's all pretty clear-cut action whenever it's not too overtly violence, but otherwise they have to cut away from a lot of the more brutal stuff and just replace it with CGI or, panaways or cuts or whatnot. The pacing is, I don't know, weird. It's supposed to be all about the Megs, and instead it's like, okay, we have a Meg in captivity, and then we're going to go off, and there's a trench that we're exploring, and so we go to try to explore deeper into the trench, and there's several more Megs that are down there, megalodons, but there's also this secret, mining operation, and then they get tangled up in that, and then they're stranded down there, and they have to make their way through to this underground mining facility to figure out a way back up to the surface. Like, there are Megs prevalent throughout it, but the first 2 acts are more survival horror, trying to avoid the Megs, so they're not on screen as much. But then Act 3 is just fun, campy, cheesy action of just watching them try to like take out these megalodons and a giant squid octopus monster and some human bad guys that just won't die and then do die, and then I don't know. I feel like I'm not spoiling anything that you probably wouldn't have already guessed. I would almost recommend seeing this in theaters just because it's the spectacle of it, right? Like, you're just here for the spectacle. But I mean, in good conscience, I mean, look, it's not a great film. It's just dumb fun. It's entertaining. I wouldn't say pay full $20 to go see this. Definitely stream it at home. You're not in this for the characters. You're not in this for the compelling story. You're in it for a fun, campy, dumb, megalodon, shark, escape, survival, fighting time. End of the day, I'd give Meg 2 The Trench a low 3 out of 5. I mean, a low 3 out of 5, below average, but at the same time, not terrible, not like bad. It technically does accomplish what it sets out to do. I'm not gonna lie. It for the most part, it gets away from the Megalodon a bit too much and kind of gets into the whole subplots involving the criminal underwater mining operation and some ancillary characters and some corporate espionage, and you kind of drift away, and then you're like survival and just like pure survival horror in the sea with like megalodon adjacent action and antics, and then you also have the whole criminal thing and the who's the mole in the company and all this type of stuff. I don't know. When it gets back to the megalodon escapades, that's where it excels the most. The third act, like fun, campy, albeit PG-13 action adventure type of stuff. But you know, it could have been a lot better, could have been a lot worse, I guess. I know I say that a lot with films like this, but it does best when a film like this is made in the way that it is and it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's mostly dumb fun, and I, funny enough, would, you know, recommend to some extent or not maybe watching it. So sorry for the dip in quality there. Like I said, a lot of the video was lost, so most of this is going to be just, I think, just the audio with a little intro, a little outro of actually seeing me. But anyway, it's not like I'm losing out too much here, but that's the Meg. It's the Meg 2. That's all I gotta say about it. Anyway, that's all the time I got for today. That was my thoughts briefly on Meg 2 The Trench. That's all I gotta say. Happy National Cinema Day to all. Thank you guys and gals so much for watching. I'm sure that I know this is being posted after National Cinema Day, but I recorded it on the day of. I saw a movie on the day of, so take that for what you will. Take it in stride. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode of whatever movie I review. And goodbye, travelers.